أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم. So first of all, I'd like to welcome our very special guest, Brother Walid Mahmoud, who really doesn't need any introduction. For those of you who have been with us in Shifa Academy, have heard him and seen him as a guest more than once. But for all of our new guests, what I'd like to mention is that Brother Walid is, mashallah, a photojournalist from the city of Gaza, and he's a content creator. And Brother Walid, mashallah, right now, majority of his family is currently in Rafah. And so we really, really appreciate that despite the very difficult situation he's facing emotionally from a family perspective, he has still given us the time to be with us here today. And what we're going to learn from him today, inshallah, is the history of Palestine, as well as the actions that we can take to support Palestine. Because Palestine, as Muslims, we are taught ilm and amal. So we need to have the knowledge to do the right action, to do action that will actually benefit Palestine. So without any further ado, I will hand over the floor to Brother Walid Mahmoud.
Thank you so much. And you know, we are living hard times and difficult times, but despite all of that, I feel so happy to be here, and I'm really honored to be here among with you guys again. So, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and thank you so much. We appreciate that you spent your time just to listen to me as normal human being who has lived the most of his life in Gaza Strip and in Palestine. Thank you so much for that.
We went.
That really makes my day. Thank you, and thanks to Sister Shakputa for her efforts in helping and supporting the people of Palestine. And today's topic is very important. It's really so important to know the truth and to know how this conflicts and this issue started 76 years ago, and what has been happening to Palestinians through the 76 years until now, which a genocide which going in Gaza. So I will be talking about some important period in Palestine history. Palestine was known as Canaan, which means Canaani people who have been living in Palestine for thousands of years before the Ottoman empires, before everyone that know it. Yeah, it wasn't named like Palestine, it was named as Philistine, which actually Canaani words, Philistine. So Philistinians or Palestinians used to live on this land 1,000 years. Then one of the most important period that the Ottoman Empire, if you read the history or know the history, Palestine was a part of Ottoman Empire, which now Turkey. So Palestine was like a state of Ottoman Empire, and people used to live in peace and such like any other country around the world in that time. Palestine has many historical and religious places. The first of them is the Dome of the Rock and Masjid al-Aqsa, and many churches for Christian people and for Muslims people as well. After the World War I, when the Ottoman Empire has been defeated, the British mandate came to Palestine and occupied Palestine and stayed there for years. Through the British mandate and the French mandate, if you know that, Palestine was a part of the conflict too, because it has important place. Palestine has important place because it's like an important point between Africa, Asia, and close to Europe. Cyprus and the Greek are the most European country which actually geographic important, you know. It's linked three places: Asia, through being connected to Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon; Africa, through being connected to Egypt. As you know, Egypt is part of Africa too, and being close to Europe, such like, as I said, that Greek is so close to it. Before the British mandate is over, Balfour, who was Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, gave a promise to Jewish people that he will build a state for them on the land of Palestine, which means stealing a land from the owners of the land and give it like a gift to others people whom we don't know. Okay, Jewish, maybe they have rights in Palestine, but they don't have the rights to be the owners of these places, you know? This is the point which you have to know. Palestine used to be a place where Christians, Muslims, and Jews to live together, but the British mandate decided to give this land to the Israeli and to the Jewish people, which no one would accept that. If you have a car, I see that someone is driving, so if you have a car, I don't have the power to take this car for me. We call it stealing this car, you know? But maybe I have the right, if I have a problem or I need this car, I can just take the permission from the driver. Okay, could you please help me or bring me to some place? The British mandate decided and gave a promise to Zionist movement, which has been established in the United Kingdom by Ishaq Herzl. And this movement was established on one principle only: to eliminate Arabs in Palestine, to seize them and occupy their land. That's why we hate Zionism. That's why we call them Nazism also. And in that moment, the world did a big fault against Palestinian when they decided, when the United Nations decided to divide Palestine through a resolution which called 1947 resolution, and we call it 181 resolution. It says that Palestine must be divided to two states, one Jewish state and one Arab state. And the one Jewish state must be called Israel, and the Arab state which must called Palestine. Palestinians, this resolution gave Palestinians like 48 only of their land of the complete and the total Palestine. And they give the Jewish the 57% of the land. And Palestinians refused that because it's not an acceptable thing, you know. You cannot just divide a loaf of bread with me. I don't need that. This bread is for me. This place is for me. We are the owners of the land, so nothing called division here. We don't accept that. Palestinians refused this. And this conflict started also when a British mandate, before withdrawal from Palestine, they bring a Zionist gangs, which started with Nakba in 948, you know. What happened in Nakba? The British mandate allowed for the Zionist gangs, we call them as civilians Jews who came from Europe with guns, and they came only for one goal: to eliminate Palestinian and to commit a genocide. That's why I always say this genocide didn't started over 200 days ago, but it started 76 years ago, when Zionist gangs came to Palestine, attacking Palestinians and killed thousands of Palestinians and expelled about hundreds of thousands Palestinians refugees to Jordan and Syria, and some of them to Gaza and West Bank. This is how the genocide started, and it's still continue in order and with a justification that we need to give the Jewish their right. They have no rights on Palestine. Okay, maybe they have some religion linkship when Allah Azza wa Jal asked them to go to Palestine or to Egypt, but this doesn't give them to be the owners of the land. So the Zionist gangs committed many massacres in Jaffa. My family originally from Jaffa city, which now in Israel side. And my grandfather, who died 2 years ago, he used always to tell me about Jaffa city, about the orange in Jaffa, about the Mediterranean Sea in Jaffa, and how he was spent his life there. He only lived like 15 years old there. Then the Nakba started. We call it the day of Nakba, which means catastrophe. So in that day, Palestinians used to live as refugees on their land and on others' land, such like in Syria. If you are looking or scoping to Syria now, you will find the Palestinians refugees are living there since 76 years, and some Palestinians are living in Jordan. Some of them used forcibly displaced from their land to Syria, Jordan, and Lebanon. So the world tried not to try to, and one of the fault which happened to Palestinians, the world said, look, the United Nations said, look, we need to recognize Israel as a state, and we want to give those Palestinians refugees the right to return to their homeland. And we need to recognize UNRWA. You know the UNRWA, which the United Nations for Palestinians Refugees. We will recognize UNRWA as international organization to help those Palestinians refugees, and maybe we will let them go back to their land. And this is the beginning of this crime which happened to the Palestinians when the ethnic cleansing happened to them. Since that day, Israel has been committing many massacres against civilians and Palestinians, trying to forcibly displace them from their own land. And that's what we are living now in Gaza Strip. They are making everything, and by committing crimes and keep bombing Gaza, by forcibly displace the people from their own land until the Palestinians say that we are giving up and we will leave this land. But this Nakba will not be repeated again. The Palestinians in Gaza refused to leave Gaza Strip to anywhere. They want to die there. They prefer to die there. They don't want to do what their grandparents did. And the Palestinian refugees were scammed by the United Nations. When they forcibly displaced from their own land, United Nations told them, look, there is a conflict and it maybe will take 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then you will be back to your homeland. And unfortunately, until now, we didn't come back. The Palestinians tried to create peace. I don't know if someone is talking. Okay, Palestinians tried to make peace with Israel, as the world says, okay, we need to make peace between those sides and two sides. So they agreed on two-state solution, which gave a Palestinian state and Israel state. But Israel rejected this solution, and Palestinians went to Oslo Accord. If you read the history about Oslo Accord, which gave Palestinians their state on like 13% of their land, and the others 85% for Israeli. No one of you would accept his land to be occupied, actually. This is some points of the history of Palestine. Al-Masjid al-Aqsa, which one of the most holiest places in Palestine and for Muslims around the world, was occupied, and Gaza was occupied, West Bank was occupied. Now, Sister Shakfota visited Al-Aqsa Mosque in 2018, I think, and she have seen how many checkpoints are there and how they prevented Palestinians to enter sometimes, how they treat Palestinians badly to pray in that masjid. There are many historical points to talk about in Palestine. If you just search and Google the history of Palestine before we talk about actions and about what's happening now, you can just check those historical points which I talked about, Oslo Accords and many United Nations resolutions for Palestine. No one of them was implemented because Israel refused everything. Israel believed in ethnic cleansing all Palestinians, and their flag, they have two blue lines. And if you ask what's the meaning of Israel flag, it means this land is only for Jewish and Zionists, and they bought the stars of Egypt. I know that maybe many of you know how the Israeli flag looks like. There is two blue lines, and in the middle, there is a David or Dawood alayhi salam stars, which means Israel from river to the sea, from the river of Jordan until the Mediterranean Sea. This is what they believe. All of Palestine is for Israelis. This is what they believe, and that's why their flag looks like. But the Palestinian flags looks white, red, green, and black. And there are many peaceful meaning for those colors, except the Israeli ones. About Gaza Strip and about what happened on 7th of October. Actually, Palestinians didn't stop resisting the occupation through the past 70 years. They used all kind of resistance to defend themselves. And one of them is the armed resistance. On 7th of October was the first time for Palestinians to defend themselves by attacking the Israeli settlements. For me personally, everyone who lives on the land of Palestine and he knows that he is living under occupier forces, and he knows that his grandparents used to come from Europe to live in Palestine, I don't treat them as civilians actually, because those people are coming to Palestine to occupy it and to serve in the army, in the Israeli army, to kill Palestinians as much as they can. This is their principles. That's why many Palestinians, they don't treat those people as Israeli citizens. We call them Israeli settlers, which means they came from Europe to occupy Palestine and to kill the Palestinian people. On 7th of October, Gaza has been, as you know, let's just take a look on Gaza before 7th of October. And I came here many times to you and I told you how we used to live in Gaza Strip, being living and having electricity only 2 hours a day or 4 hours a day. Economy was so bad, life was so hard, and no one would believe how or imagine how worse and hard we have been living in Gaza Strip. Gaza has been isolated completely from the world for 17 years recently. And on 7th of October, before 7th of October also, if you remember, I came here and I talked about the Great March of Return, where Palestinians and thousands of Palestinians from Gaza Strip used to march on the border asking for the 194 resolution by United Nations, which calls for returning the Palestinian refugees to their homeland. It's 194 resolution. If you check it, it's United Nations resolution asking Palestinians to go back to their homelands in Palestine. They used to protest peacefully in front of the whole world, but no one cared about them. No one gave them attention or talked about them. How Israel treated those protests? They treated them by force, by killing over 500 Palestinians, by injured, and I used to cover that. And I survived many times from an Israeli bullets and the snipers in 2018 and 2019. They wanted to shoot me and kill me only because I was wearing press visits and holding my camera and just documenting what's going on. This is how it was before 7th of October. Palestinians used to call every day for the past 17 years, please break the siege on Gaza. Our generations want to live such like any others people. Our people want to go to their schools. They want to provide, we need to provide food for our people. The graduated people didn't had any opportunity to find job or to travel. It was so hard to travel from Gaza to just to link Gaza to the world. They turned Gaza to a biggest open prison, and it was the largest air prison according to United Nations. Even United Nations said in 2020, Gaza will not be livable city. People will not be able to live or eat or provide them healthy drink. 98% of water was undrinkable. Only this water for animals, and Palestinians used to drink it. On 7th of October, the Palestinian resistance groups decided to explode completely in the face of the occupation and oppressors. And this is what happened. They went to the border, they attacked the Israeli army. Their targets was only Israeli military, Israeli soldiers and snipers and chiefs and officers who give the order to soldiers to kill our people. And that was the target. And it happened, I call it the day of victory because it was the only day when Palestinians spoke loudly by their actions, which means, and the most important thing about 7th of October, that it was a message to the whole world that Palestinians will keep resisting the occupation. And it happened. And how the Israeli responded to October 7th? By genocide, as usual. This genocide didn't start in 200 days ago, but it started 76 years ago when they came, when those gangs, and if you just check YouTube, you will find those people who served with Zionist gangs and came to Palestine. They were witnessing and committed the massacres, and they spoken when they get old before they die. They have talking to the media about what they committed against Palestinians in 948 when they came to occupy Palestine. One of them said there was a pregnant woman and he felt proudly that he killed her and he burnt her children. He felt so proud of doing this in 948. And after 7th of October, Israel is responding by genocide. They targeted everything. The Palestinian resistance targets was the military base of Israeli occupation, but the Israeli occupation targets was children, women, students, schools, masjids, bakers, journalists, doctors, nurses, and everything which called Palestinians, even if it stones, it was a target for the Israeli military to bomb and to kill. And that's what they are doing right now. I think that many of you have heard about Al-Shifa Hospital, one of the largest hospitals in Gaza Strip. And they put it on their target first. And they promote their propaganda and false news. There is a Hamas target, there is a Hamas tunnels, and there is a headquarters for Hamas leaders under this hospital. And they attacked this hospital twice. The first one when it was working, and the second one when the doctors inside the hospital tried to operate it again. They don't want to operate Al-Shifa hospital, they attacked it. Also, they attacked the bakeries, the people who are making food and bread for the people. 98% of bakeries in Gaza has been targeted by the Israeli occupation. Hospitals, the Habibist hospital, we call it Al-Ma'madani hospital, they bombed it and killed 500 people. Most of them are children and women who have been evacuating to the hospitals. And if you ask why people are evacuating to the hospitals, because in Gaza Strip, there is no shelter places, there is no safe places. So families thought that being in the hospital is safe place, and those people, there is a red lines in this war. And one of those red lines, they will not bomb hospitals. But they started this genocide by bombing hospitals. Kamal Udwan Hospital, Al-Indonesian Hospital in northern of Gaza Strip. They starved people to death. Like 40 Palestinian children died only in hunger. And to describe what's going on right now in Palestine, it's something which will break my heart, actually. I even feel speechless. I don't know how to talk about that. When I just remember my village, my lovely people, and how Gaza tried to create life and to live such like any other countries around the world. and they eliminated everything. They wiped out the streets, the schools which I studied, and the masjids which I used to go to. Uh, everything. Just imagine everything. Imagine that you was born in a village and you used to remember all its features, all its farms, and you remember the farmers and people who used to work there, and they wiped out everything. When I say everything, I really mean it. Everything. They don't need anything which talking about life in Gaza Strip. Imagine that you have children and your children is now a target for the Israeli military. And imagine when you wake up and find your children and homes and memorize were turned onto pieces. Would you imagine that human beings and the children were turned onto pieces of meat and you will lost all the features of your children and baby? This is what's happening right now, even for my family personally, because we lived nearby the borders. They bombed our houses, and my family used to evacuate from a place to place, from a place to place, and I'm losing contact with them from time to time. And I really wish that I was in Gaza Strip, and overthinking is killing me. I feel so depressed about what's going on, and I wish that I could be in Gaza Strip right now to die among my family, not to die slowly here while being away from them. Losing connection and contact with your family will force you to open Telegram and keep following the news. And when you just hear that there is an explosion or bumps nearby their place or their location, you would be just thinking about nightmares. Maybe they got killed in any moment. I don't know how to describe it because the words will not help me to describe it. And I'm sure that you would not even imagine it because there is no human being mind who can just imagine what's happening right now in Gaza Strip. People are being slaughtered and massacred completely. They don't care about their age or gender or anything. Doctors are being killed, nurses being killed. And one of the hardest thing that some people in the West or people who didn't lived any war before, they thought that there is a safe place in Gaza. And there is no safety, there is no safety places. Just imagine for the past 8 months, you have been moving from a place to place seeking for safety and you got nothing. And even in the places which Israeli claim it's safe area for people to live in, 1,000 of tents on the street, the whole infrastructures have been bombed. And even the rubbish, the rubbish are on the street, on the everywhere you go, yeah, because the municipalities could not operate in Gaza Strip to clean the street or the places there. The water, it's so salty. My sister told me that her hair and her skin is being sick because of the salt water. The people who also had blood pressure and sugar and many disease, they used to die right now. And some people who used to be rich in Gaza, they are being died suddenly in heart attack because they lost their businesses, they lost their life and everything. I'm so sorry if it took so long time, but unbelievable. That's what I want to say. It's unbelievable. We only hear and listened about what's happening in movies sometimes, like if you see the movies of the end of the world, and it's become true, and we are living it right now in Gaza Strip. That's what I describe it. It's like Hiroshima and Nagasaki, if you heard about that, when the America and United States knocked Japan. It's like that, guys. There is no, yani, I'm just trying to find a safe place and to tell you, look, there is a safe place which people can evacuate to. But trust me, there is no safety place. Even the tents, just imagine, they started this genocide by saying, we are going to attack the north of Gaza. The leaders of Palestinian resistance are in the north of Gaza. And they focused on the north through their propaganda. And after they eliminated and wiped out everything in the north and starved people to death, and the flower massacre, if you remember the flower massacres, when people were seeking for flower bags, and when those flower bags enters, they were gathered and crowded to bring even small, small kilograms of flour to make bread for their families. They bombed them, they killed hundreds of people. And the Hind Rajab, I'm sure that many of you heard about Hind Rajab. She is just a Palestinian children who has 6 or 7 years old. She was with her cousins trying to find a safety place, and they bombed the car and targeted it. And Al Jazeera documented what happened to the car. And two of the ambulance guys who tried and volunteered themselves to help her or to bring her back to her family and her mom, they were killed too. So this humanitarian mission, being ambulance driver, which means you are doing a humanitarian work, they targeted that work. And many massacres. And let me just summarize this. What you have seen on the media is only 10% of what's happening. That's it. Thank you so much for listening. And I appreciate your voice. Can I get just 2 minutes more to talk about actions and what we can do?
Yes, brother, please, the floor is yours. Take as much time
Yes,
as
thank you so much. And I know that before being a Muslim as a human being, maybe you are wondering how I can support or what I can do, what to do to help those people or to make our conscience comfortable a little bit. Look, and when Nakba happened in 948, there was so rare people, Palestinians who spoke in English language. And there was an opportunity for Zionist media to separate its propaganda and lies about Palestinians. But this time is different. We have social media where everyone can document what's going on. Many Palestinians, thousands of Palestinians speaking English right now to tell the world what's going on. And that's why the world is changing right now. And you can be a part of this change by keep talking about Palestine and keep talking to the governments, Congress members, parliament members about Palestine and asking them to help the Palestinians to survive and got their independence state. The other thing which you can do by educating your people and your children about what's going to the Palestinians and what's happening to Palestinians. This is a part of the cycle of helping the people on the ground. Also donating to charities and giving some money of your salary or helping the people there just to survive. I know those things may be normal for you, but really Palestinians need this kind of aid and actions to do. Also try to document the massacres, try to talk about them, try to bring the photo of Hind Rajab with you 24 hours a day, just put it in your bag, try to wear a t-shirt talking about free Palestine. Our people in Palestine are so lovely, and I really wish that one day you are going to visit Palestine. People are so welcoming, the strangers and the Muslims and Christians, and they have no problem in that. You will find them inviting you for lunch despite everything. I remember Kuwaiti friend who is a doctor who entered Gaza recently before the Israeli attacking Rafah. He told me, Walid, your people are something like a crazy man. I told him what's going on. He told me one of them, his house was completely demolished and they turned it to a rubble. And he had some food, little food, and he swore to me to come and eat food with him. And he wanted to host me on the rubbles of his house. He bring 2 chairs and he asked me, and he used to be smile. And I told him, man, this is crazy. How do you smile? Why? Our people are so generous and lovely people. Trust me. And I really wish that one day you can visit Palestine and visit Gaza Strip and walking in its street to discover and explore the places and the people's traditions there. Thank you so much again. And I really appreciate your support.
Thank you. Thank you. Jazakallah khair, Brother Walid. That was a very moving presentation. I can see how difficult it must have been for you. Thank you for educating us on the history and motivating us even further on how we can support. Although I feel that, it's really, really hard for us to, put together any kind of a very impactful support for Palestine. But nevertheless, we will keep doing whatever we can in the small capacity that we can. So thank you very much, and we pray for you, we pray for your family's safety, and we pray for this genocide to end and for Palestine to be free, inshallah. So we have about 25 minutes left, inshallah. So I will ask anyone who would like to ask questions to please raise your hand using the Zoom hand tool, and we will just take questions or comments in the order that we see them. So I would really invite everyone. This is an excellent opportunity. We see a lot of content creators and we see photojournalists on social media, online, but it's really an honor to be able to directly speak with one. And I've known Brother Walid for many, many years, inshallah. He's one of those
Yes,
Alhamdulillah.
I want to tell them something. You must be so proud of Sister Shakfuta for what she is doing for Palestine, actually. And a few days ago, she held in vegetables food box for Gaza Strip and for Gazans who lived in the displacement camps there. And she used to support the students too in Gaza Strip. And Alhamdulillah, so much. I'm so proud of her. We met by chance, and Alhamdulillah, we know each other for years now. Sister, may Allah reward you for what you do. And I'm so proud of you.
It's not me, brother. It's not me at all. It's all of these wonderful people here that are supporting you. I'm just happy to be part of this family, inshallah. So would some of you like to ask questions, please? It's an excellent opportunity. Yes, Yusuf? Let me hold on.
Assalamualaikum.
Go ahead.
How long have you been a journalist for?
I have been talking about, I'm 34 years right now, and I have been talking about Palestine for like 12 years or 15 years now. I used to be such like doing a citizen journalism, and in the past 9 years, in 2014, since the Israeli occupation invaded and stormed my village, and there was no cameras, and they committed many massacres. And if you just Google my village, you will see it. It's named Khuza'a. It's in the eastern of Khan Yunis city. In that time, I decided to spend all my time in journalism and writing articles for many international news agencies, such like Al Jazeera English and Middle East Eye. So it's been like 9 years now.
Thank you.
Who's anyone else would like to ask a question? Sabahat, go ahead.
Yeah, I have I mean, I
When
came
you
across.
ask a question, if you don't mind, can you just say your name and which country you're joining from? So Brother Walid has an idea of his audience.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Brother Walid. I'm Sabahat. We connected in the last session. So after a year, we're still connecting, and I'm thankful for that. Thankful for your time. I had been researching about Israel and Palestine, and I am able to connect with you much more clear about the history now. But I also wanted to know that Israel says it controls the smuggling tunnels, right? So it has this. They are claiming that the tunnels are created by Palestinians because they are created because they want to smuggle something, but that's not true.
They controlled what?
They control the smuggle. They do the smuggle.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
No, smuggled through the tunnels, right? Sabahat?
Yes.
You mean the tunnels?
Yes.
Okay, complete your question.
Yeah. So I wanted to know if I know that it is not true, but they have, I mean, the recent news that I saw was they have taken control over it and they're blocking the tunnels. Is that true?
This, if they really blocked all the tunnels, then why they are still bombing Gaza Strip?
So is that,
This is not the look. The Palestinian resistance has prepared itself for these days, and it used to build those tunnels for years now. And Israel trying to comfort its people, and by showing their army are doing the mission completely as the goals of these missions as they claim, such like to release the hostages. I don't call them hostages, by the way. I call them detains because there is over 7,000 Palestinians are hostages too by the Israeli occupation. So this is not true. And they keep lying, and they lied, and they lying, and they lie, and they will lie about everything.
what is the role of Hamas here?
Hamas is such a resistance movement. Hamas accepted the two-state solution, and it's only armed resistance. This is what Hamas is doing right now. And something, the weapons which Hamas using right now, is very simple weapons. They don't have any way to import modern weapons to Palestine. All the weapons they use is a homemade one, manual made ones. But they resist. If you just watched many videos of Hamas has been released, when you see a Hamas fighter and resistance group going so close to an Israeli tank to put the bomb there, it's something like courage, This is soldiers, and this fighter is so courage because he have principles, and he believe in jihad, and he believe in Jannah, and he believed that he has the right and he's the owner of the land. That's why he had those courage to be close to an Israeli tank. So Hamas is only a resistance movement that believes to free Palestine, you need to practice the armed resistance. And I wanted to add the point, according to United Nations and international law, armed resistance is a right for every people who are living under occupation.
Another question to add to that, I have not been seeing any recent news of what Hamas is doing now, but I would like to know how are they supporting you? How are they supporting the Palestine now?
I told you, Hamas is believing in armed resistance, and right now they don't support that kind of support to Palestinians. They only keep resisting in some areas of Gaza Strip. That's the way how they try to defend the people in Gaza.
And
But on the ground, they cannot do anything because Israel has targeted the governmental section. They targeted the policemen who tried to organize the convoys or trying to organize the food trucks. They destroyed everything and all aspects of life in Gaza Strip. Hamas fighters still resisting in some places, and their resistance are you cannot call it very effective one, you know, but they at least defending Palestine.
Thank you. Thank you, Sabahat. I think Yusuf has a question. Yusuf, your hand is raised.
Assalamu alaikum. It's actually me, Fahmina.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Walid. This is Fahmina from Bahrain.
Walaikum salam.
I wanted to ask, but you said, things we can do from our side. I wanted to ask regarding the helping out in charity, how are the people in Palestine currently, when we send something, are they receiving whatever amount we're sending for whatever appeal? There are many different appeals and we're trying our best to fulfill, but are they getting the help? Are they getting the finances or, through food or medical aid? Just wanted to, that's all.
Too many organizations who has been working in Gaza Strip for years and too many international organizations. And those organizations are struggling these days. At the beginning of genocide, they could help, and many of them, a little bit of those organizations used to help the Palestinians and the people on the ground. But right now, it's hard for them to work, and many organizations has stopped their work because sending money to Palestine, and Sister Shakfuta know, it's really hard these days to Gaza, and they will take so much fees. So you can just find maybe 3 or 4 organizations that working right now on the ground. And that's why many people are relying on helping people, individuals, by individuals' way to help the people on the ground. People are not receiving any kind of help right now. We can say that because if there is 2 or 3 organizations that helping, doesn't mean all people are receiving help, you know. People are being isolated even after the occupying Rafah crossing point. After the Israeli occupation invaded Rafah, at the beginning of this genocide, many organizations used to work, but right now, no. Only they rely on their individual support.
Okay.
Even, just imagine something which its price used to be $1, now it's $10. And people are not working. They are all crowded and gathered in a small area which called Al-Mawasi area. Would you just imagine over 2 million people? They are living in tents. Some of them relies on United Nations support, and even United Nations announced that it cannot doing its humanitarian mission there in Gaza Strip.
So, Brother Walid, you said there are 2 or 3 organizations. So can you name them so we can make sure?
One of them is Doctors Without Borders. It's a French one, and they only provide medical support for people. And United Nations UNRWA, it's providing flour and some goods for them. You can find others organizations actually, but I think currently and right now, after Rafah crossing, they stopped working on the ground. UNICEF is belonging to United Nations, dear Sarah. And for me personally, also, I worked on the ground by sending funds to my team there who's working on the ground to provide aid. Last week, we provided 50 food and vegetables packs to the people who lives in the camps through Sister Shakfuta also. And we could help them, alhamdulillah, azza wa jalla. So I pay fees for someone here in Turkey, and he has money in Gaza, and he give the cash to the team going to the market, trying to find anything which good for people to eat, and he bought them and then put them in food packs and sent them to deliver them to the families there. So this is how it's work these days. But in general, if we need to talk in general, you can say that organizations cannot complete their projects on the ground. For example, at the beginning of genocide, I used to work with Zakat Foundation of America on the ground, and we used to provide food for the people. And until the Israeli occupation occupied Khan Yunis city and they attacked Khan Yunis city, all the team was separated in many places, and I lost connection with them and imposing the siege on Gaza Strip, preventing all organizations to complete or to work regularly or organizing their work on the ground. The conditions are so bad right now. People are going back to live like on 18th or 16th century. There is no shoes. Just imagine my family, they are living the worst times too as well also. My mom told me how hard it is. My nephews has hepatitis C, and many people are having, many children having hepatitis C too. They cannot get any food. They only have cans, and they live in a tent, which so hot weather, and they cannot even get a good or a healthy WC or a toilet to go to. And all aspects of life are so bad, even clothes, everything. Electricity, they don't have electricity. They are walking like 2 kilometers or 3 kilometers to charge the phone, and then they come back to the tent. This is how it's going. No drinkable water. She told me something green inside the water, which I think it's like bacteria, and we are drinking it. They are forcibly drinking it. And even the cooking gas, people are using fire, trying to collect some papers and woods. All aspects of life are stopped in Gaza Strip right now. And you can say that there is no government because no one can organizing anything there. It's really hard, you know. For example, Eid al-Adha is coming. People are still living in a tents, you know. We are in a 21st century, but people are now living on 15th or 16th century in Gaza Strip completely. Even the hospitals, they are in lack for anything or medical provided. You are just seeing ambulances moving, and they have injured people, and they don't know where to go or to which hospital they can bring them. There is only one hospital which operating in Gaza, and we call it European Gaza Hospital. This one is big, and all it's serving now over 2 million people in Gaza Strip. And just imagine if you look at the map of Gaza from north and the middle and the south, they put all the people in a small area to live in. Even the tents are the most needed things also in Palestine. Yani, there is no tents or enough tents. My mom telling me that some people are in the street. And to tell you something positive, my mom, what she did, she kicked out my father from the tent. And she told him, go away from the tent. We need to host the 3 orphans and girls who want to live with us in the tent. And my dad called me, oh, your mom kicked me out because she wanted to host more girls and people inside the tent, and there is no place or capacity to live in. And my brother used to gather some woods and build a small tent for him and my dad. Life is like at the beginning of a human being, you know. This is how is people living right now. Even the shoes, yani, my mom told me that she went to the market. There is a public market there, and this market has nothing, only small goods, you know, small foods and the breads and rice, small quantities, yani, which not enough for people, and its price are so high. Yani, imagine a bottle of water, which used to be less than $1 in Gaza Strip before the war. Now it costs like $10 or $15. Only 1 liter of water, you know. the prices are so high. And my mom told me, look, I went to the market. Everything is getting expensive. But what's shocking me that people are walking on the market without shoes because there is no shoes in Gaza Strip. And what shocked me also that I met many women who used to be rich before the war, which means they had their businesses, they had their shops, and those people are right now walking without shoes because they are out of funds and their houses were pumped and there is no shoes or clothes to wear in this hot weather or to do. And hepatitis, as I mentioned, hepatitis is dangerous disease. Like 70% of Palestinian children in Gaza Strip now, they have hepatitis right now. This is only small part of the reality, guys, because to describe the whole reality, I would cry actually. It's something worse to describe. That's it. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Brother Walid. I know how hard this must be for you. I just have a couple of questions before we wrap up. So, Brother Walid, with Eid al-Adha coming up, how do you think we can help from our end to at least make it a little bit of a good Eid experience?
Wallahi, look, yani people used to live Ramadan and they used to celebrate Eid al-Adha, Eid al-Fitr, I'm sorry. And if you want to help, just to try to find organizations which can make a Qurbani, or if you want to make a Qurbani in Gaza, it will be so expensive, to be honest with you. But at least I think that Allah will reward you so much for that, you know. Okay, it's so expensive. Yani imagine before the war to be a part in the cow, it costed $500. And now it maybe cost like $200 or $300 to get 30 kilograms of meat. So I would recommend if people can collect funds and send it directly to Gaza to feed people there, or maybe through international organization which maybe will send the Qurbani after the genocide to Gaza. This is the way how to help people. But for Palestinians, they are not going to celebrate Eid al-Adha, unfortunately, and they didn't celebrate Eid al-Fitr too.
Yes, I can understand that. So do you have any recommendations of organizations that we can send money for?
I would recommend it if you can send them individually. I can willing to do that if we can just collect a price for a cow, but it will be so expensive. If we can collect a price of a cow or goat or sheep in Gaza, I can ask my team to do that for you guys. I have no problem in that. About the organizations, I think you can check if Islamic Relief or those organizations, if they are doing Qurbani there or not. But I don't think they will be able to do Qurbani there because of the prices, and if they in normal days they slaughter Qurbani outside Gaza Strip and then deliver it to Gazans through crossing point. But at this time, because the crossing point are closed, would you just imagine that there is over 2,000 humanitarian aid trucks are stuck in Egypt right now, and Israel prevented them to enter Gaza Strip. And those trucks are under the sun, which means all those goods were expired, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll make it easy. Does anyone have any questions? Otherwise, I have one last question, and then we will wrap up with the dua, which I will actually invite Brother Walid to make the dua. Can you ask the question? I think there's some questions coming into the chat.
Okay, I got, I think, a question from Sarah.
Yeah, can you see the whole question, Brother Walid?
Yes, I can see it in the chat. Why didn't Palestinians change the President Mahmoud Abbas as they know he's betrayal? He sold the country to Zionists. Mahmoud Abbas didn't sold the country to Zionists, but I know that he's a corrupted man, and I don't agree with his policy. But Palestinians cannot do that, because Palestinians are under occupation, and who controls the West Bank is the occupation. And in Gaza Strip, who controlling Gaza Strip is Hamas movement, not Mahmoud Abbas. So Mahmoud Abbas only in Ramallah, and I don't agree with his policy. And in many points, I have a problem with him. Unfortunately, in 2006, after Hamas won the Palestinian elections, there was a division between. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, there was a Palestinian internal division which caused by Israel, and those division divided Palestinians politically between Hamas and Fatah. And we pray for reunite again. We hope that they will reunite again and work for one goal, which free Palestine, and they will challenge the Zionists, inshallah. I don't know if there is any other question.
Can you see Shifa's comment and question?
Yeah. Journalist from Reuters, Spain, no official recognize state on Tuesday. I'm just reading her question, okay?
Yeah, you can read it out loud if you like. So it will be.
I think there is no question, but yeah, okay. Yes, about the reaction from the students and from who are in Oxford and those universities. Actually, this is something which I highly recommended to do by supporting those students' camps and by keep speaking and talking about Palestine. About Norway and Ireland and Spain, who has recognized Palestine as a state. As Palestinian, I really wish that the rest of the countries in the world also will recognize Palestine as a state and give the Palestinians their state and their self of determination, inshallah. And this is really a great step for the first time, something for the first time that students protesting, standing against the Israeli occupation, and they are talking about Gaza Strip and what's going on. As I mentioned in my talk, 76 years ago, Palestinians, and it was so rare to find a Palestinian who's speaking English and speaking to the whole world about what's going on. But this time is different because there is a social media and there is many activists and journalists on the ground. And something, let me just add it. In this genocide, Israel is preventing all international and foreign journalists to enter Gaza Strip because they wanted to isolate Gaza Strip completely from the world, and they want to commit this genocide in the dark, without any covers. But because we relied on citizen journalism and people and journalists who has been in Gaza, a Palestinian journalist, that's why the whole world and governments now know the truth and about what's going on. Even Al Jazeera English and Al Jazeera channel, they stopped it from broadcasting in Israel. They banned it. And that's why I was a journalist and photojournalist. And I really wished that I could show you some photos of daily life before 7th of October and show you the 2014 attack and the 2008 attack on my computer. I have disks which full of photos and videos and footages, but unfortunately the computer is not working. That's why I learned English by myself, actually, to speak to the international and to those people who believe in humanity, such like Rachel Corrie, if you know Rachel Corrie. She's American who was killed by an Israeli bulldozer in Rafah city. And that's why I took this mission personally on my behalf to speak out and keep speaking out about what's going on in Palestine. And believe me, seeing the world is changing is something really, oh, you feel like, oh, finally, they are waking up. And we really wish that the rest of the countries will recognize Palestine as a state and wake up, inshallah.
Inshallah. There are more comments, but I think we've run out of time. So I think, inshallah,
Yeah.
we will. Brother Walid, can you please make a dua? Because we think the people of Quds.
Allah, I'm just reading the last question. Can I read it?
Sure.
Of the International Humanitarian. As I said, Palestinians are not getting enough aid, or you cannot, even female, they are living, there are many people who are starving right now in Gaza Strip. The international organizations cannot operate under bombs, and they asked Israeli government to provide even a safe corridor or a safe way. If you remember the central kitchen wall, which has all its employee are foreigners and they are Western people. Israel targeted them and bombed them. So all humanitarian activists who are on the ground, they are Palestinians and working individually on their behalf, and they are risking their life. Last time when my man went to buy the vegetables, he risked his life and put his life at risk to buy the vegetables and bring them to the displacement camp. It was really hard, Even me, if I was in Gaza right now, I will take the risk and I will be willing my soul to provide a humanitarian aid to the children there. Fine. At the last, I would love to thank you so much, guys. I spotted many words which actually has been in my heart for the past 8 months, and I felt really comfortable. My heart was about to explode because of the anger which I had in my heart and the world which I live in. Even my nerves sometimes are shaking when I lose connect with my family. And really being with you and finding someone who's listening to you and want to know more about Palestine and want to be educated about the reality. They just want to listen and know the truth and know what's going on. This is something really makes my days and giving me a positive energy to keep speaking out about Palestine. This is not my first time, but this time is different, because my heart is completely broken, and whatever I talk, it will not be enough to describe the reality about what's happening to my people there. So if I have anything to say, just want to say thank you so much for that, and keep us in your dua. And this is what Allah has written on us, and we accepted it. Yani, I have seen a mother who's lost her children in this genocide, and I talked to her. She's a neighbor of my family in the camp, and she was visiting my mom in the tent. And she's a stranger, she's only a neighbor of my family tents. And when I talked to her, she told me, look, I'm the only survivor of my family, and I only have one daughter right now. And Alhamdulillah for everything. This is the first thing which she said to me and told me, saying Alhamdulillah for everything. And I believe that they are in Jannah right now. And inshallah, all of this in the sake of Allah. She was strong, and this woman gave me strength to stay strong in the future. Look, guys, losing someone of your family or losing even a part of your body is something you will not imagine until you go through it or live through it. Something hard, You would not imagine that, and you will feel speechless. The words will not help you even to express or explain the reality, or the real feeling. How would you feel when you are losing loved ones under the rubbles and you cannot even get them out of the rubbles, you know? They stayed there for 8 months. There is over 15,000 Palestinians who are under the rubbles only. Those people have been under the rubbles for 8 months, and their parents don't have the tools or the opportunity to reach them and bring their bodies out. Imagine that among those 15,000 people, there are children, grandparents, doctors, nurses, journalists, and many people. And those people are loved ones to someone else, you know? Just imagine that. 8 months under the rubbles, and you cannot say to them goodbye. You cannot even see them for the last time or seeing a goodbye view. Allah Azza wa Jal, yani Allah yarhamhum. May Allah have His mercy on them, inshallah. And one more again, thank you so much to all of you.
Brother Walid, thank you. Thank you for your time. I can only imagine how hard this must have been for you. I just want to say that we are part of your family. You are part of our family, and whatever we can do as a little bit. And as a matter of fact, I think you and your community, Palestine, has done more for the world than we could ever even think of doing for you, because your strength of Iman and your resilience and your resistance and your innovation, we are just in awe and we are inspired. You know, when we think of our little troubles in our lives, we just think about Palestine. And we say, you know, look at the immense amount of trouble that they are experiencing, and they are so thankful, and they are sabir, and they are shakir, like you said, you know, they say alhamdulillah to everything. And so that is something that we learn from. So really it is your community, your trials that have that are giving to us. Palestine is giving to us. We could not give you anything with. So I will just end. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa barik wa sallim wa salli alayhi. Ya Allah, Ya Rahman, Ya Rahim, Ya Kareem. Ya Allah, we ask you for your blessings through the wasila of your beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We ask you to free the land of Palestine, which was the land of your Prophet, Ya Allah. It is the land of your Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Isra and Mi'raj, Ya Allah. It is a blessed land, and we ask you to free Palestine, all of historic Palestine. We ask you to free all of its blessed sites, and we ask you to protect all of the Gaza Strip and in Gaza and Rafah. We ask you for a ceasefire, Ya Rab. Ya Allah, stop the bombing, stop the fighting, Ya Rab. And we ask you to protect all of the Ahl al-Quds, and we ask, Ya Rab, to protect everyone who is suffering there, especially Brother Walid's family. We ask for all of those people who have hepatitis C, Ya Allah, grant them shifa, Ya Rab. Ya Shafi al-Amrad, grant them shifa, Ya Rab. And we ask them to provide them with clean water, Ya Allah. We ask you to provide them with shoes, Ya Allah. Whatever is their need, Ya Rab, help us to support them and provide them their needs. Protect them, Ya Allah, protect them. And end this genocide, Ya Rab. End this war, end this genocide. Open the Rafah border. Let the humanitarian aid come through. And Ya Allah, grant Palestine the freedom that it so much deserves, Ya Rab. Ameen Ya Rabbana Kareem, Bijai Sayyid al-Mursaleen, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Wa ufawwidu amri ilallah, inna Allaha basirun bil ibad. Ya Allah, when we leave this earth, Ya Allah, grant us shahada with kalma tayyiba, Ya Rab, and also grant us also a life of shahada or a death of shahada, and increase the darajat of all of the shuhada of Gaza, all of the shuhada of Palestine, all of the shuhada of Al-Sham. Ya Allah, grant them the maqam of the shuhada of Badr, Ya Allah, and grant us sawab of this entire gathering and all of the good deeds to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to his blessed family, to all the companions, and to all of the awliya karam, Ya Rab. Ameen Ya Rabbana Kareem, Bijai Sayyid al-Mursaleen, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Jazakumullah khair, Brother Walid. Thank you very much again for your time.
You are
We
most
appreciate
welcome,
it.
sister. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
having me. And inshallah, we can repeat these sessions again, inshallah, when Palestine is free, inshallah. Thank you so much, all of
Inshallah.
you, and to every one of you. And please keep talking about Palestine. Don't forget us on your dua, inshallah.
Thank you everyone for joining.
Allah,
Assalamu
thank
alaikum.
you very much.